So this is not another happy one. So I apologize to begin with. So I kind of left, my family and I ran away from Nigeria when I was about 11 for a host number of reasons. But one of the main ones was that my father was a Muslim and mother was a Christian when they got together. And we lived in Jos, which is just rife with sectarian violence these days. People just killing each other left, right, and center. And so the whole conversation about religion and about identity has dogged me through my whole life. Was the reason why we left. And it's something that I'm just coming to write about. So this was the last poem that we included in this book about 2 weeks ago because they just newly printed. And I didn't want to include this here because it's still too close to my heart and I felt a little bit too naked to read this poem and to publish it. But my editor insisted. So this is the poem. It's called Fragments of Bone. Let me begin again, I say, as the bar blurs invisible, its volume reduced to the merest suggestion of others, and it's just us, spotlit in the black, womb-like silence of theatre, and your question themes to play. Let me begin again, I say. I went to church last Sunday. The pastor preached, put not your faith in man, who only is good as his next breath. Align your faith with he who gives breath. Here I stutter, my answers splintering like fragments of bone against the mud soil of memory. Moments before, I recalled the call to prayer in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. The slow unfurling Imam's son's voice as dusk touched the courtyard, the dust settling, the sun solemnly bowed on the horizon, thin as if a prayer mat. And the gathered performing ablutions, Bismillah they say, washing hands, mouths, nostrils, faces, arms, head, ears and feet, kneeling to pray. Allah is great, God is great, they say. You counter with airplanes, fireballs, towers falling, and stop your rant with the first fireman to die, his skull caved by a jumper from the 51st floor, fleeing flames. In the name of Allah, gracious, great, merciful, this was done, you say, this was done. I mention Amazing Grace. How sweet the choir leader swayed in white robes, eyes closed, humming Southern Baptist hymn hypnotic, sailing congregations to the oceanic depth whence his tears, wide and sure as waves, ride back and forth that everything would be all right. You reject faith again, describing Jos, Nigeria, the girl watching flat amongst tall grass, the squad of Christian men who hold her mother down as another swings, down with the machete, down as sunlight skates the blade's edge, down the last swing, the fragment of bone, and there are screams no more. There is blood in the drama of men and gods, you say. Rivers of it flow through our wounded earth, gush from scripts in houses of worship, and act after act aren't all stained except the audience, the secular astray. You gesture towards those seated in darkness who gawk as we squabble on stage. Aren't they the ones the light beyond will touch unbloodied, who will die hands clean? Let me begin again, I say. I went to church, the pastor preached faith, man, breath. I stutter, the bar blurs back to life, words fall against your ears.